teaching the United States was built on stolen land. That is inappropriate for our schools. It's not true. And I'm happy that we're going to be able to have accurate history, and we're going to...
Accurate history. Stop making things up. Indigenous people aren't real. They don't exist. They're a figment of all your imagination. Raphael Warnock wins in 52 of 100 simulations, and Herschel Jr. Walker wins in 48. After everything that's come out, it's like the first couple scandals, second scandal, and by the way, that woman happened to be the mother of your child scandal. A couple weeks go by, and then the gap recloses. and it's like, and we're back. doesn't matter. Pretty good night for Progress Toronto. Victories recorded. 5 of the 9 city council candidates they supported, 6 of the 8 TDSB candidates. More successful, and Ford would have banned third parties from municipal elections. For comparison, 9 of the 13 candidates endorsed by Tory won their council seats, but if you exclude the incumbents, Progress Toronto did back the incumbents. Just 2 of the 5 picks were victorious, and both of them served in the council for Tory's first term. So, good job, Toronto, I suppose. I'm sorry for the mayoral election in Ottawa. I had it open, but it's just closed on me. So officially, J-Reg, or Dreg, or Greg, I believe got 0.17% of the vote. The conservative mayor beat out Catherine, and unfortunately, even though they put up an awesome campaign, and I'm very proud of everything they did, and also, supporting them throughout their campaign, the right-winger did end up winning. The rest of the election wasn't as bad for Ottawa as it was for Vancouver, because in Vancouver, obviously, everything swung pretty far right and pro-cop. Whereas there's a handful of victories for the left, but Mark Sutcliffe will be the right-wing Ottawa mayor. So 2 pieces of good news, though. 1 piece of good news, J-Reg did not spoil the election like some people were scared. So his, let's just say, absurdist election run, if nothing else, was a fantastic piece of performance art comedy. It was at the best of times funny, and at the worst of times almost illuminating. Because yes, if you wonder why Zoomers are way more excited to participate in the J-Reg comedy mocking of society as they are way more excited to participate in maybe, I don't know, the Birds Aren't Real movement, that should probably tell you something. That the absurdity of the current age, the world we live in, the nonsense era of fucking... You know, we live in a clown world. It's unfortunate, but it's true sometimes. It's just like a cartoon. Like, what is everyone doing? Why is the world richest human doing all the weirdest things around everybody?
If we don't have a God, we don't have a country. If we don't have a country, we can't protect our family. And so there is an order of operation there that needs to be followed. But to say that I'm a Christian nationalist is absurd, because I don't need a qualifier for my faith. I don't need America to define my faith. Jesus has already done that.
I'm a Christian. I have no problem saying I'm a Christian nationalist. And I think that's an identity that we need to embrace, because those are the policies that serve every single American, regardless of how they vote. One of the greatest things that we believe as Christians is there's no greater love than this, and that is to lay down your life for another. And
well, I mean, you did kind of break your vow with God. That one, you made a Christian vow with God, the Lord your God, to be faithful to your husband and to serve. And unfortunately, you broke the vow. You ended up cheating on him with the Zangief cosplayer. Yeah, guy looks like a fucking communist Street Fighter 2 character. We've all seen the Mikhail Gorbachev ending, so I don't know if you are an authority to talk on being a good old Christian.
And that's the type of people we are, being Christians. So the left is extremely threatened by an idea of Christian nationalism, because they know they cannot win. They cannot beat it. It defies everything that they are.
So you can see that right there, the clear difference.
There is 100% a open and proud feeling that all the Christian nationalists have now, I mean, the Heritage Foundation used to be working in the background, doing a whole bunch of funding to a whole bunch of sketchy organizations and outlets, and now it's just, we're just going to say it out loud. We're proud Christian nationalists. We're showing you we're Christian nationalists with all of our policies. you know, like controlling women's bodies, taking away all their autonomy, going after trans people, going after trans kids, saying that trans people shouldn't exist, going after gay people, calling gay people groomers and pedophiles, going after marginalized communities, going after indigenous people and black people, trying to restrict black people and indigenous people's ability to vote. We're doing that one as well. Want to take away their democracy because we don't think of them as human. We think of them as subhuman. So we're going to continue down this pathway. Oh, and what's this? Everything is not bad enough. Well, guess what? We can erode more. We can always go further. Do you like having interracial marriage? No, you don't. Just wait until next year. That one's coming back, and yeah, we can definitely take away your right to you know, to what we used to call race mixing back in the day. That's what we're doing now. So that's the right. And I feel, unfortunately, and what this election might show is the left, aka what is identified as the left, the Democrats. It's the two-tier duopoly clusterfuck that is the United States. They're not meeting the occasion as much as they need to. I kind of feel like half the liberals are figuring out that capitalism's not all that great, and that's awesome. Keep going. I love all of you. Keep doing that. But you know, the other side is kind of just straight up evolving into fascism. Like, it's the final form, by the way. You know, this is like we went through, you know, DBZ, we saw Vegeta and all the other versions as it just increases and complicates and the numbers get higher and higher. Well, fascism is pretty much, it's the end of the line for the far right. That's their final destination, if you will, and it's their attempt at preserving capitalism at all costs. The alternative being, of course, moving towards a more egalitarian socialist structure, which would be for bettering society itself instead of just funneling money into the hands of the very few. So it's not a great thing to see the right being so fucking speedrunning about this. You know, like they're all a bunch of fashy hedgehogs. Got to go fast, every single one. I'm sure you've all seen highlights from what Trump voters are saying why they're going to vote for him.
What I'm perhaps most upset and concerned.
Pennsylvania in the middle of the night, and then did something different hours later.
And
that has never happened before.
Gotta go
What
fast.
did they do differently?
Votes changed in the shutdown.
The counting
So
stopped.
how did the fraud happen?
I don't know, but why did they shut it all down?
Was it mail-in votes?
That's the
I think that's the most likely place that problems could happen. And in the last election, they counted those last. And miraculously, the results completely inverted.
Republican prime.
So that's just not based in reality, but they have, again, been lied to by Owen, Tucker Carlson, you name it, on a regular basis. Everything from the we're just asking questions crowd to straight up style Steve Bannon, like, oh, the whole thing was stolen. Have you seen the documentary by the My Pillow guy? Yeah, no, he proves it. Dominion Systems, Venezuela.
Primary, if we held it tomorrow in Pennsylvania, who would you vote for?
Senate?
Who would you be most excited? Republican presidential primary. Say tomorrow you had to go vote in a Republican presidential primary in Pennsylvania. Who would you vote for?
Trump.
Yeah, Trump.
I'd like to see one of Trump's kids run.
DeSantis.
I would vote for DeSantis.
If DeSantis was a candidate, yes, I would vote for him.
Would you vote for DeSantis over Trump?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. Yes.
Interesting. Who would vote for DeSantis over Trump at this point?
I think I would.
So.
DeSantis is Trump with brown hair.
Younger version.
No, he's not. He's a terrible public speaker. Like, for all my fucking criticism of Trump, which is pretty vast, you know, Orange Man bad, surprise. He's an entertainer. He's funny. He's naturally funny. DeSantis is not fun to listen to.
I think DeSantis has a bit more of a filter.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing.
Which is, I think, a
Brown
good
hair,
thing.
no social media.
He comes across as a tough, nice guy.
And he's
A little bit.
Now, I'm not saying I'm the oddest man around. I'm not saying I'm one of the oddest men, but he does not strike me as a odd man. I'm going to be honest with you. Just my read.
he's young too, so I don't know if he's not in the next.
I think his time's coming. I just don't think it's right now.
I just think the Democratic hatred isn't there for DeSantis. It's just pre-existing for Trump. It's just,
It will be if he's the man.
Candace Owens defends Harvey Weinstein. Okay, I can do a brief detour.
You have to say about Harvey Weinstein as an individual? I think he sucks. I think he did broker his power to get what he wanted. I think it was a total sleazeball. That's a good defense. If she openly said that she consented, but she was just faking her consent, what is the requirement here? How is a man supposed to know that you're actually not consenting, but you're faking your consent in the form of faking an orgasm with him? And it is interesting that she also wasn't an aspiring actress. As I've said,
like years too late for this bit. Like this would have played a little bit if it was like during maybe the pre-trial when people were like, oh, I'm not totally sure. Oh shit, yeah, there's quite a lot of accusations. It's just, yeah, it's like Harvey Weinstein is up there with like Bill Cosby, where it's like, how many women do you need? How long of a timeline do you need? How many victims does it take before you will sit back and be like, oh yeah, that asshole actually did this? There's more than enough people. A lot of them are not actors or actresses doing this for the fame, you know?
Said I would have to speak about each individual person that went through this. I actually personally...
Why? If it turned out someone had like committed sexual assault on 50 women and one of those 50 women was lying, but the other 49 were telling the truth, what's the point at that point? What are you adding to the conversation? What in any way, shape, or form? Like, okay, this unbelievable human monster has sexually assaulted 49 women instead of 50. That number is down by 1, it seems, even though it's kind of a gray area here.
Have always believed that something happened to Rose McGowan, and I was going to have her on my show a while ago, but we didn't end up making it work. But some of these women that jumped onto the Me Too movement, not so much. I think some of these women were basically prostitutes and were willing to do whatever it took to get the part, and they were
Wow. Prostitutes who did whatever it took to get the part.
to,
okay.
Undignify themselves and go so far as to sleep with this disgusting man. And he took the power that was given to him. He did.
Oh, so whose fault is that?
Didn't care. People did a deal with the...
Maybe, and I don't know, I'm spitballing here, there shouldn't be a situation in which these rich, famous men executives can use their positions of extreme power to coerce women into fucking their gross selves in the process, just because this is the only way they feel they should get rid. Maybe that's the problem, not the women who are doing that.
With the devil, and then when it became convenient, after they got what they wanted, which is the defense's argument, she got what she wanted, and they even go on to say that she's been to his house since. Kind of compelling, right? You're the face of your clean.
Oh god, I can't watch this anymore. No, that's insane. Like, there are numerous victims of abuse who either continue to live with their abuser or stay in contact with their abuser or are afraid to leave their abuser or visit their abusers after they've been abused. Like, it's not indicative of anything. That's never a gotcha. It's never like, oh yes, but turns out you went back to his home 4 days later. Would you do that if he'd done the bad things you say he did?
Yeah. Maybe, but they'd have to ramp it up, and they don't have that much time to do that.
Well, she's a great example.
Anyways, this whole thing goes on for like 7 minutes, and it's a really good example of just what the right-wing media brainwashing is capable of pulling off. Because like all their talking points, their own talking points, all of the talking points are just like straight ripped from all of that shit.
Today's headlines: Florida's race for governor is nearing the finish line. We have the highlights from DeSantis and Crist's first and only debate before the midterms.
A nail-biter in Nevada.
The governor did not say if he was going to run for president in 2024.
Yes or no, Ron? Will you serve a full 4-year term if you're re-elected governor of Florida? It's not a tough question. It's a fair question. He won't tell you.
Crist is a former congressman who resigned in August this year. He served as Florida's Attorney General from 2003 to 2007 and as Florida's governor as a Republican from 2007 to 2011 before switching parties. He dug in on issues like abortion and immigration, ridiculing DeSantis for sending illegal immigrants out of state and accusing him of not wanting to fix the problem.
You can change policy and do what's right to secure the border by having comprehensive immigration reform. That's what I voted for in Congress. When you were in Congress, you wouldn't do it because you want to keep this issue alive. You want to have it as a
Imagine losing a debate to Charlie Crist. Well, did he lose a debate to Charlie though? I mean, in terms of like the polling, I guess I'll have to take a look. Let's see what the Hill had to say.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and his Democratic
4 years if you re-elect him as your governor. You're running for governor. You're asking them to vote for you for governor. At a minimum, you ought to be able to tell them if you get re-elected, you'll serve as governor. Ron?
While DeSantis refused to directly answer the question, he used the question to take a jab at his opponent.
A mate has said this in the past, that teaching the United States was built on stolen land. That is inappropriate for our schools. It's not true. And I'm happy that we're going to be able to have accurate history, and we're going to...
Accurate history. Stop making things up. Indigenous people aren't real. They don't exist. They're a figment of all your imagination.
To make sure that we honor those who have sacrificed so that we can be free.
There's an old expression, Ron. Those who don't know history may be condemned to repeat it. Usually people use that in reference to the Holocaust. It could just as easily be referenced to slavery in our country. It happened. It's a fact. We shouldn't have a whitewash.
Well, Chris is still going to lose by 10 points. I was like, I think DeSantis has it as a lock, right?
Approach to educating our children.
He said you need to force people to shelter in their own homes. That would have destroyed.
By the way, both of the polling aggregates, and I know the Q, everyone's saying like 538 is always wrong, but both of the polling aggregates for all the poll data available right now, this is shrunk. It's now a dead heat for the Senate. This used to be like, okay, it looks like the Democrats will take the Senate and the Republicans will take the House. But now it's a dead heat for the Senate, which means it could go Republican. There's still a lot of fear-mongering to go. And the House, like, it's not even close. We'll see if there's some major shakeups, but right now it looks like the Republicans are going to take a commanding reprisal of the House itself.
Destroyed the state of Florida. That would have caused our tourism industry to go into the toilet. It would have locked out millions of kids from school. I rejected Charlie Crist's lockdown letter. I kept this state open and I kept this state free.
You're the only governor in the history of Florida that's ever shut down our schools. You're the only governor in the history of Florida that shut down our businesses. I never did that as governor. You're the one who's the shutdown guy. We need to have somebody who is at the helm that understands it's important to listen to science, to do what's right.
In Georgia's Senate, Raphael Warnock wins in 52 of 100 simulations, and Herschel Jr. Walker wins in 48 of 100. So Raphael Warnock looks to have a small, teeny little edge of a lead in that Senate race, which is just, after everything that's come out, it's like, the first couple scandals, second scandal, and by the way, that woman happened to be the mother of your child scandal. A couple weeks go by, and then the gap recloses. and it's like, and we're back. doesn't matter.
Utilize common sense. You don't just shut down at the outset, and then when it's, politically convenient for you, you want to open back up to score political points.
I just think we're better when everybody counts. I understand not everyone's going to be born in perfect circumstances, but I would like to see everybody have a shot. I'm proud of the 15 weeks that we did. I know Charlie Crist opposes that, even though the baby is fully formed, has a heartbeat, can feel pain, and can suck their thumb.
I don't want to ban abortion. I want to make sure we keep a woman's right to choose available to the women of the state of
Stacey Abrams is
Florida.
doing really bad at the
And I want to make sure that we don't have a governor in the future who wouldn't even allow exceptions for rape or incest.
Meanwhile, a new ABC News Ipsos poll found that 72% of Republicans support DeSantis and say he should have a, quote, good deal of influence in the future direction of the GOP, while only 64% said the same about Trump, which is very interesting. Joining us now to discuss is state capitol reporter for WFLA in Florida, Libby Dean. Welcome, Libby.
Thanks for having me. Good morning.
Yes, thanks for joining us. So I know you were covering this debate. What were your takeaways?
I mean, as you can see from those clips, the takeaways and the jabs were there, as they always are in these kinds of debates. But the main takeaways are the presidential run. I think that is the most clippable moment from the debate that people are going to see.
The Marco Rubio one isn't even close. It's been this is the closest you made to it in an indent. And that, I'm very proud that our campaign is on the upswing. But bye.
The most of, but also, I mean, they touched on several hot topics of abortion.
Yeah, I still think the messaging of the Democrats on the abortion issue is not as powerful as it could be.
Still relevant in helping voters choose candidates, or are they just political theater at this point?
You know how much I love theater. I think the answer is yes.
Florida, and say to them, if you're reelected, you will serve a full 4-year term as governor. Yes or no? Yes or no, Ron? Will you serve a full 4-year term if you're reelected governor of Florida? It's not a tough question. It's a fair question. He won't tell you.
We did not agree on the candidates asking each other questions. Governor, it's your turn.
Well, listen, I know that Charlie's interested in talking about 2024 and Joe Biden, but I just want to make things very, very...
Okay, so... Oh, man. This one's not close either. J.D. Vance looks like he's going to beat Tim Ryan in most simulations. And this one, unfortunately, it's more not how close it's going to be, but the trends I'm most interested in. And why? Because you can follow the trends and see what events happen based on the dates themselves and then what directions they start to move in. That to me is way more interesting. And to be honest, when I read Canadian elections and I try to make predictions, it's the trends that I usually focus on, as in, well, if they're moving in opposite directions, can you close a gap before too late? Rarely the answer is yes. Rarely the answer is like, when it's getting this close, you might see a change in the next couple days, right? But then is it going to be enough to move in that direction? Probably not. Closest it's come, that was in August. No, this was closer, in August 27th. That sucks because JD Vance is terrible.
Very clear. The only worn out old donkey I'm looking to put out to pasture is Charlie Crist.
That's where it's at. My opponent is an old donkey.
Those are Hearst lines.
So does that help him or hurt him that he won't answer?
Oh, with his base, fucking, that really helps him. I know you're not talking about the donkey comment, but I can see them just be like, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Whether or not he would serve.
I actually think with his base, it probably helps him because everyone
the focus group
who
worked on that
loves
one for
Ron
sure.
DeSantis loves the fact that he is now this national figure. They think it probably brings more prestige to Florida. It will give him more power if he does get reelected. And so I think this debate tonight probably didn't change the trajectory, but it's also like one of those Rorschach tests, right? You talk to the DeSantis campaign, they think he obliterated Crist. You talk to the Crist campaign, they think he obliterated DeSantis. But it did need it to be one where it did change the trajectory for Crist.
Yeah, I'll take a look at the governor races soon, but I also don't see good prospects in that arena as well. They also look pretty bad.
Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form, available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
To our gods, Xander Corvus and Peyton L. Juste, we shall spend many a generations building mighty cathedrals in your honor. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are but your oafish jesters, here to offer you a laugh at any opportunity. To our brave knights of the Round Table, Rachel K., Izzy Solidarity, Victoria Bell, Sebastian Demmel, Mark Harmon, Benji Arney, Scary Earth Human, Tony, DM Rivera, Resident Scarecrow, Sir Nickus, Cheryl Alvarez, Ruby Kelly, Brandon, Words Greenwood, Everything Important, Hegbert Celine, Matthew Scarborough, Stellar Vision, Ariane McCarthy, Doug Cady, Daniel Sutton, Jenna Tao, Dark Puppy, Quiet One 85, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, Multimondi, Trevbot EXE, Brian Ephraim, Anthropophojack, Catherine, Ramon Acosta, Incosin, Ralph Parler, Violent Orchard, Political Puppy, La Media Panza, Todd Buckingham, and Todd La Jeunesse. We salute our valiant heroes off to fight injustice everywhere.